No, I'm asking a question, dude. Like, where do we get it from? Yeah, so then how about this? How and where should we dispose of the incredibly acidic, sometimes radioactive batteries that electric vehicles use? Where should we dispose of them?
But that argument, you see, it's a straw man because you're
Answer the question.
No, I am answering question. I am answering.
So how much of the global temperature rising is because of human activity? No. What percentage? Is it 70%, 80%, 85%, 5%, 1%? Because that's not what the study said. They're saying that human activity is contributing to part of the increase. What part? They don't know. That's debated. I recognize you from earlier, right?
Yeah. I kind of want to continue
Sure.
the conversation about climate change. First of all, thanks for coming to UCSB. And I was just wondering, given that you believe human beings are exacerbating climate change, shouldn't you agree that we ought to transition away from fossil fuels?
Well, no, I don't agree with that. My contention is I don't know. I do believe global temperatures are rising. I'm not willing to say definitively it's anthropogenic, meaning it's human activity. But if you connect the two, I asked the question I asked earlier, how much? Are there any other contributing factors to rising global temperatures other than human activity? If so, what are they, and to what degree do they factor into rising global temperatures? But sure, you want to follow up on that?
Yeah, I was wondering, how can you not know whether climate change is happening when a recent survey of 88,125 climate-related studies done by Institute of Physics cites that more than 99.9% of peer-reviewed scientific papers agree that climate change is caused by human activities?
How much? So how much of the global temperature rising is because of human activity? No. What percentage? Is it 70%, 80%, 85%, 5%, 1%? Because that's not what the study said. They're saying that human activity is contributing to part of the increase. What part? They don't know. That's debated.
Can I answer that?
Sure.
So like there's actually a statistics or a study done that suggests that climate related disasters are 8 times more likely than in 1980s.
Well, hold on a second. You know that we have less people dying because of quote-unquote climate-related disasters thanks to fossil fuels? We have less people dying because of extreme exposure to cold, hurricanes, because of the advancements we have thanks to fossil fuels. You know, this idea, it's very interesting in modern society. We take for granted the idea of having widespread shelter, heating, or air conditioning in extreme climates thanks to hydrocarbons, we take for granted. That used to be a leading cause of death of human beings up until 1850s. Now, if I posit your contention, climate-related catastrophes, even though, according to peer-reviewed studies, that climate-related catastrophe death is actually at all-time low, the question is then for you, which is, what would you get rid of, when, and what would the cost of that be? That is the question, so please answer that.
Well, I was just wondering, like, you know, you didn't really answer my question, but I was, obviously I can't give you like exact percentage of numbers, but I do think that we ought to transition away from fossil fuel, right? Like, I'm not against growth or development. I obviously agree with you that, you know, the Industrial Revolution, like economic growth is good. It's lifting people out of poverty. That's obviously good, right? But in developed countries today, where we have the ability to not damage our economy, but also benefit the environment, shouldn't we do that?
Okay, so give me an example. What specifically would you ban? You're king for a day. What would you ban? Would you ban liquid natural gas? Would you ban nuclear? Would you ban fracking? Would you ban, what kind of hydrocarbons would you ban? Give me the examples, and you're king for a day. What would you do?
Well, see, I wouldn't like straight up ban something, right? And so I'm not advocating for like, you know, just like fossil fuels, we end fossil fuels like immediately.
That's
right?
a mature answer. Good for you. No, I mean that. That's because the radicals don't always say that. Please continue.
Right. So I'll argue for like market-based solutions, a transition away. Like for example, I think in 2020, like the government funded $5.9 trillion to fossil fuel companies. I would say that instead of investing this money, $5.9 trillion to fossil fuel companies.
That doesn't sound right. But you might be in tax credits, maybe, or tax breaks. That doesn't sound right.
Subsidies.
No, that's 5.9 billion, probably not trillion. There's no way.
It's trillion.
Yeah, well, the federal budget was 3.8 trillion. So there's no way we spent more than our federal budget.
No.
But I'm going to help you out. It's probably billion. Did you say trillion or billion?
It's trillion. It's done by the International Monetary Fund, and probably it's not.
It's not possible. I mean, I'm sorry to.
I'm not saying just in the United States.
Oh, okay, worldwide. All right, then that might be conceivable.
Right.
Sure.
So I mean, yeah. But anyways, so I would say instead of subsidizing these fossil fuels companies, I would say that take these subsidies to renewables and other forms of cleaner energy that would be beneficial to the environment
got it.
while still pertaining economic
Fair enough.
growth.
Last question. So where do we get the cobalt to make the batteries, and what do we do with them? No, I'm asking. Where do you recommend we get the cobalt to make the batteries?
Wait, can I answer? So, like, your argument is about this mining argument, right? Like,
No, I'm asking a question, dude. Like, where do we get it from? Yeah, so then how about this? How and where should we dispose of the incredibly acidic, sometimes radioactive batteries that electric vehicles use? Where should we dispose of them?
but that argument, you see, it's a straw man because you're just.
Answer the question.
No, I am answering question. I am answering. I am literally answering your questions, right? So you're arguing about this renewable energies and their batteries and how they cause environmental harm, right?
I've asked a question. I'm not making an argument. What should we do with the batteries once we use them?
I'm saying that's a straw man because you can't.
Straw man question. That's a first. I've never been accused of a straw man question.
Because you have an underlying premise in your question that renewable energies exist in a vacuum, but you can't do that. That's not comparative analysis. You have to compare renewables with fossil fuels, with fracking and stuff.
All right, pal. How about this? How about this? You can't answer the question because deep down you know that cobalt-powered batteries are worse for the environment than liquid and natural gas and nuclear power. So you come up on here to try to virtue signal, I love the environment, but as soon as you ask me about the incredibly environmentally inefficient, destructive, animal-killing, acidic-producing batteries, you're a strongman. You're out of time. Thanks for being here tonight. Next question.
Exacerbate. 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 Contribute to. Contribute to. Contribute to. Catastrophe. 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 Get rid of. Get rid of. Get rid of. Conceivable. 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 Dispose of. Dispose of. Dispose of.